I was fired from Daily Wire that year.
Yeah.
And you had a little something to do with it.
Did I?
You did, actually. This is a story that I've never told.
Okay.
But I think you had something to do with it, but I was not allowed after I had watched you, and we should show that clip in a little bit, but you were my wake-up call to what was happening in Gaza. Wait a second, what is going on? Why are this many Palestinians dying? Woke me up to the fact that there was a huge part of the conversation I wasn't aware of. And so I went to my producer at the time and I said, we should get this guy on. He's going viral. I don't know who he is, but like I really would like to like just hear the other side. And my producer ran it up the chain and came back to me and said, we are not allowed to have Bassem Youssef on.
Now, some on the left might not have expected comedian Bassem Youssef to sit down for a lengthy interview with Candace Owens, but he did do just that. I personally enjoyed the conversation, but unfortunately he dealt with a little bit of backlash for speaking with her. I disagreed with that backlash, and well, so did Bassem, and he defended himself in a conversation with Mehdi Hasan. Let's take a quick look at that.
Why are you shaming me for being friends with some of these people?
I mean, some of them are freaks.
Why don't you like Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson?
Because they've said some horrific things over the years.
So what? I mean,
why don't you like Ben Shapiro?
I mean, Piers Morgan has said the horrible things over the years.
He's not said anything close to what Tucker Carlson has said about Muslims, about Arabs, about immigrants.
And why can't we be strategic and use their platforms?
They can.
Yeah, but like
some people do.
You don't like that. You don't like.
No, it's not that I don't like it. It's that my worry is that for the sake of one important issue, Gaza is a huge issue. We're giving a pass to these people to launder some of their other objectionable. Like I said just now, they're not disowning Trump. Actually, Marjorie Taylor Greene, I'm gonna have to go home and take a shower after this. I give her credit out of all of them because she actually picked a fight with Trump. She gave up her political career. So she actually put her money where her mouth is, to use a phrase. The rest of Tucker doesn't say a single anti-Trump word. He acts like the war in Iran came down from the skies. We wouldn't be in this war in Iran had Tucker not promoted Trump for president.
Now, to be fair to Mehdi Hasan, since then, Tucker Carlson has apologized for his support and endorsement of Donald Trump. The conversation between Mehdi and Bassem happened prior to Tucker making that statement. But nonetheless, I thought what was really interesting about that conversation is, I wouldn't call it a divide, but there is a debate among people on the left who do care deeply about this issue and see an opportunity to potentially work with people that we typically disagree with on other issues wholeheartedly. However, others say, I've got hangups about the past. Maybe it doesn't make sense to work with them. Maybe they have bad intentions. I'm in the camp of, if you can find or build a coalition that can apply enough pressure to change our system of government so it's not controlled by a foreign entity, to save people's lives, by the way, all across the globe, and when you really think about it, I'm gonna go in that direction.
First of all, a shout out to Mehdi Hassan Habibi. I love you. We have this friendly argument, it's friendly banter.
Yeah,
it's actually, it's very lively. But here's the thing. I know that some of those people said horrible things about us in the past, but I'm willing to actually work with someone who wants me out of the country tomorrow against someone who wants me dead today. And also, to be fair, there was this conversation between Megyn Kelly and Tucker Carlson where Megyn Kelly tells Tucker Carlson, I realized that I have been manipulated and people just want me to go on this Muslim hate on and on and on, and then I'm just like recalibrating, rethinking everything that I was being told. So this is a win. And this whole purity test, like if you said this in the past, I'm not going to work with you. I'm happy to work with someone who hate my guts today. I'm happy to have, and I'm willing. Maybe when I work with him, maybe this shift will happen. And if it doesn't happen, let's get this foreign influence out of the picture, and then we can fight together. I'm happy to do this. But this kind of purity test, I'm not going to talk to Candace, I'm going to talk to Tucker. I think we are just limiting ourselves. I mean, look at the Zionists. They don't care. They work with the left and the right. They have Barry Weiss for the left, and they have Ben Shapiro for the left, to the right. They go and they wave the flag of Judeo-Christian values for the right, and it's like, hey, we have the biggest gay parade for the liberals. They're working the game. They don't care. I think in politics you shouldn't be too sensitive. And, we have seen people tearing each other apart in political debates, and then they work together. I mean, look, for example, at Ted Cruz, who had been, him and his wife, humiliated by Trump. And he's just like, you know, you've got to
have a little bit of self-respect.
Yes, but none of those people did that extreme. The most these things is like Muslims are this, Muslims and that, and then many of them now are actually backtracking. It's like, wait a minute, I have been manipulated. Maybe I should think this true. So to find that opportunity and not take it and just like sit out in our corner sulking about what they have said in the past, I think it is not strategic, and I think we should grow up. It's politics. We need to put our feelings aside. We have a bigger issue, which is that Zionist control of the government, of the media, and we just not just like, instead of just sitting there, it's like, no, I'm not going to talk to people.
Yeah. So I've got a lot of strong opinions on this, and I'm on the exact opposite end of that spectrum as Mehdi is. And by the way, look, there's an example. So I massively disagree with Mehdi and AOC on that issue, and I'm still friends with Mehdi. I don't have to hate him just because we disagree on an issue.
Yeah.
Okay, or we disagree on many issues. So what?
I think the concerns he raises are totally valid, right? And the thing is, if you're not consuming Tucker Carlson's show or watching Candace Owens or tracking, the subtle, but they do exist, the evolutions that they've gone through on certain things, including their perceptions of Muslims, then it's easy to believe that they're just the same person they were like several years ago. But people do grow. Like, I do believe in redemption. That doesn't mean that I'm on their side on everything or I agree with them on everything. But on this issue, which is a pretty freaking important issue, we do agree.
Yeah, so look, I'll probably go further than both you guys, and that's not easy to do. So look, a whole bunch of things, and a surprising admission in here coming up in a minute that links apparently back to you, which I didn't know until I just saw that clip. But first, I don't understand the conversation. Like, I get, so a lot of people in our audience too, they hate Tucker, they hate Marjorie Taylor Greene and Candace from the past. Okay, I get that part, right? So, but it's like Tucker, for example, called Iraqis monkeys, right? Back in the day, right? So, but now when he changes and he goes, I'm sorry for what I said before, and now I think it's totally unfair to attack Muslims, and Muslims pray 5 times a day. I'm not gonna hate a guy who prays 5 times a day, he says that. And Candace says we've been manipulated to hate Muslims, and I'm sorry for my role in that. Well, on that issue, what else do you want? If you say that's not enough, you're being utterly unreasonable and purposely unreasonable.
But more than that, you're being counterproductive because you're discouraging other people from ever apologizing or having a moment of realizing they were wrong and being public about it.
It is just like the purity litmus test. You just have to stop. Let the puritanical approach to politics really had to take a back seat.
100%. So first, also look, on a personal level, I love you guys if you're in this camp, but you're being kind of a jerk. If somebody does something to you, wrong to you in your life, right? And then they come and apologize and say, hey, I'm working to make up for that and I'm gonna help your people or you or whatever it might be. And you go, shut up, I don't wanna talk to you. Well, okay, brother, initially it was their fault. Now when you don't accept their apology and their help, it's kind of your fault. Not kind of, it's definitely your fault.
Do you know your brain rot index? No, of course you don't. I didn't either because I didn't know what it was, but turns out you might want to, especially after hearing this. Did you know that the average American checks their phone over 200 times a day? That's about 5 hours of screen time a day on just your phone. Unfortunately, that means your brain is rotting. A little bit, but have no fear. I switched over to Noble Mobile, downloaded their Noble Mobile Life app, and was able to track my own brain rot index. It's 0. No, I'm just kidding. My number was not great, but now that I'm on Noble Mobile, getting way better. It tracks how much you use your phone, how often you pick it up, and even shows you how to save money on your phone bill by using it less. New members can even earn up to $100 cash back for keeping their brain rot index under 100, which means you are very unrot. Okay, so you unlock all that when you join. So download the Noble Mobile Life app today, track your own brain rot index, and learn how you can save money and spend more time doing things that actually bring you joy instead of doom scrolling on social media. Check it out by heading to tyt.com/switch or by downloading the Noble Mobile app. By the way, don't tell Andrew, but if you're on Wi-Fi, you also don't use your data, so you're gonna get money back anyway. tyt.com/switch.
I love it how you get animated. I love
Yeah, you
that.
get-
man.
yeah,
I
he
love
does
that,
get
man. Your
animated.
energy, man. You get it there.
I get that frustration. I used to get very, very frustrated about this myself. But at the end of the day, I see it as this: either you're with us or you're not. And if you're not, that's your right. I mean, it is what it is. But I just don't think you're gonna accomplish much. And we haven't accomplished much in this country by pursuing policies purely through a partisan lens.
Yeah,
right?
look, let me jump in and make a couple more points before I get to the surprising part. So first off, you're absolutely right, Bassem. So Miriam Adelson not only gave to Donald Trump, she gave to Bill Clinton.
Yeah.
Right. See, they don't care.
They don't care.
I could show you 1,000 Israel First donors that give to both sides because they're not schmucks. They're not people who are like, oh, I will do a purity test even if Israel loses. No, they're like, I gotta get Israel to win no matter what. You Republicans, Democrats, I'll work with you.
Yeah.
I'll do anything for you, right? Our side's like, oh, I'm better than you. To guys who are trying to help you. Like, no, that's insane. Sorry, but it is. Secondly, our house is on fire.
Yeah.
Don't come at me with, oh, hey, I'm worried about the leaky faucet. Brother, we're gonna deal with the leaky faucet after we put out the goddamn fire.
Right.
Okay, there's a raging inferno. Israel drags us into wars. Israel makes us pay hundreds of billions of dollars. The cavalry has arrived, right? And you say, oh, that's a ragtag cavalry. Oh, that cavalry did something wrong. Brother, bring in the hoses, let's put out the fire. Yeah. Let's take Israel out of the country, out of our government, out of our media. Then we can go back to carried interest loophole arguments, right?
A couple of things. Let's say, for example, they didn't apologize. Let's say, for example, they're still there in their own way. When I went into Candace Owens, there are so many people who didn't know who I am and they watch Candace religiously. It's like, hey, wait, I didn't know about you and now I'm more informed.
Yes.
Oh, thank you so much for what you said.
You're speaking to their audience.
Yeah, I'm speaking to their audience. And the same way when I went to, I'm not making the comparison, but Piers Morgan, on a personal level, he's a nice guy. I have so many issues with how he runs his media coverage.
He knows what he's doing.
He knows exactly what he's doing. But this whole moment of me, the explosion happened on his platform for people who didn't know who I am.
Right.
So the thing is, you just like can't limit yourself in your little bubble and just sit around there as like, no, I don't like people. I need people to be nicer. And it doesn't work this way.
I think, and this is gonna sound a little selfish, but I think you come across something that tears you up inside so much that you are willing to do anything and everything to make it stop.
Yeah.
And I personally cannot stomach the endless slaughter and the absolute suffering that is being carried out right now by the Israeli government with our support, with our resources. I will do anything to make it stop. I can't tell you how many nights, doom scrolling, I can't help it. I care about the story, I wanna know what's going on, I look for updates. I look for updates on Gaza all the time. Netanyahu just bragged about taking over more territory in the Gaza Strip. He bragged about it. Now, if I talk about it on the show the way that I am now with this tone, you're an anti-Semite. Okay, but the Prime Minister of Israel is bragging about taking over more Palestinian territory in Gaza. Okay, I will do anything to make it stop, anything.
Yeah.
And if that means working with someone who doesn't believe in my reproductive rights, as Tucker Carlson does not believe in my reproductive rights, that's fine. I can fight him on that issue later. But right now, I want Israel's control of our government out, and I want to stop supporting Israel. I want to decouple.
And I want to stop paying for it.
100%. 100%.
I mean, forget the atrocities. Consider me as a white American who doesn't care what's happening outside that. This is coming out of my paycheck. This is coming out of all of our paychecks.
Yes.
Yeah. And now we are suffering from homelessness, lack of health care, terrible education, and they have universal health care. They have like A-level university education, and they have almost free housing on our dime.
Yes.
We are paying from our own taxes for people to do aliyah and go to Israel on a birthright trip and to go there.
They use our money to propagandize, okay, to basically try to brainwash Americans into supporting them and hating the entirety of the Muslim population.
So Mehdi said something there. So, I don't want to give them a pass. But brother, who asked you to give them a pass?
We don't have
right? Like, so do we disagree on Tucker on abortion? Of course we do. Will we fight him tooth and nail on that issue? Of course we will. Who asked you to vote for him for president? Who asked him? We're not the Pope. We can't say, I now absolve you of all your sins, right? That's not how it works. But so the AOC thing pissed me off more, to be honest, because she's kind of saying like she rejected Marjorie Taylor Greene's help on the war. First of all, I don't know what that means.
So can
I just let me finish this?
Go ahead.
Because who are you to reject that help? Like, who asked you? And who are you to speak on behalf of all of us? So there's a giant anti-war movement who's thrilled with MTG's help, right? Whether we agree or disagree with her on other issues. So, but on top of that, I was born Muslim. I obviously greatly empathize, my family's Muslim. So you're gonna reject help for Muslims on our behalf? No, you're not. No, you're not. You don't speak for Muslims. And you don't get to reject allies for us on our behalf and go, no, I declare you anti-Semitic, so I will reject you. Well, okay, you reject them in a closet, okay, in a corner, but you're not rejecting them on my behalf or on any Muslim American's behalf or on the Palestinians' behalf. So check yourself, because she's always talking about like how she stands up for marginalized communities. Bassem, I feel like we're kind of a marginalized community, to say the least.
We are, and the thing is, AOC. I'm sorry that you were going to say something.
No, I forgot.
AOC reminds me with a long history of how Democrats give us lip service and then they do nothing. Like so like AOC, like, oh, well, we are against it. Like, but you have voted to give defensive weapon to Israel.
Right.
Same way with Obama, which is a huge disappointment, huge letdown. I was like a big Obama supporter, but now they're just like at least the Republicans are honest. I mean, I'm not saying that that's a good thing,
but there's one other thing about Republicans that I just need to say, and people are gonna hate it, but it's just the truth from my personal experience, right? And it could just be anecdotes, maybe I'm wrong, maybe this isn't like a widespread thing. Whenever you're trying to accomplish something solely with the left, inevitably infighting and nonsense ensues. Okay, and then you don't accomplish anything. When the right decides they want something, and this is unfortunate when it comes to a lot of issues, including reproductive rights, but when they decide they want to accomplish something, not only do they go for it, they are singularly focused on getting it done. And I really envy that. I really envy that, because I mean, people think like, oh, what's Anna up to? She's involved in a grift. No, I've been doing this show since I was 20 years old. I'm turning 40 this year.
No.
And I'm sick of losing. I'm sick of losing. Yes, I know.
You're not turning 29. That is.
I wish.
That is crazy.
I'm a middle-aged woman now.
No.
Old lady, but it's okay. It's fine. Like, but the point is, as you get older and you like look back at your life and what you've accomplished or haven't accomplished. I love what I've accomplished here at TYT, but when I take a step back and I look at the country, what has been my part in making this country either better or worse? And I don't know if I've made it worse. I definitely don't feel like I've made it better. And I'm trying to recalibrate and think of other strategies because I want to win. I don't care about coming on this show and being loved by everyone. I want to make the country better. It's that simple.
Yeah.
May I throw like a last like curveball to the conversation about who should we support and platform? And I know that this will come as a little bit unorthodox. You guys are aware with the whole thing, Dan Bilzerian and Randy Fine.
How did I know you were going to say that?
Yeah. Because as a matter of fact, I would love for Dan Bilzerian to go in and win it. And I would love to even platform Dan Bilzerian and interview him. And I'll tell you why. And I know that Dan Bilzerian has like a lot of stuff that we can criticize, his past hedonistic lifestyle. But wouldn't it be a sort of a poetic justice for people to choose that guy who was supposedly the least qualified for Congress, just to tell people to AIPAC, we would choose anybody other than you, because that's what they did with Trump. They hated the left so bad. It's like, you know what? We're gonna get that guy, that convicted felon, and we would choose him over anybody. At least Dan Bilzerian is honest about what he did. At least he's just like he knows what he did, and he said like, this is behind me, and I'm not hiding it. other than the people in Congress who hide. At least Dan Bilzerian was not on Epstein Island.
So I'll tell you, well, yeah. That's why I say, by the way, vote for all Muslims running, because at least you know they're not going to support Israel. They're not going to give away your money to Israel. By the way, that's working in Michigan with Abdullah al-Said now taking the lead, because why? Everybody, the media is like, oh, he was with Hasan Piker and they don't love Israel. Everybody's like, oh, they don't love Israel?
Yeah, that's good. And you know what? Go to any comments on any interview that Dan Bilzerian does, and every time they say like you're anti-Semitic, everybody's like, my vote goes to Dan Bilzerian. And that is actually a qualifying quality right now to be anti-Israel.
That would definitely send a message, and I see the benefit of that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, one can only dream of a message that strong being sent. We'll see.
Okay, so two things real quick. So on Bilzerian, my only comment there is, between Randy Fine, because that's who he's running against in Florida, and Dan Bilzerian, if those are your only two choices, Dan Bilzerian is 100 times more moral. Okay, so now that's obvious because Randy Fine has said that we should murder millions of people. Bilzerian hasn't said we should kill anyone. He has said outrageous things that are not true, in my opinion, about Jewish people, etc. So I'm not saying he's moral. But in terms of who's more moral, that's not a contest. But so for any decent human being, between not only nuking 2 million people in Gaza, which Randy Fine suggested, but he talked about slowly starving them to death. You can't be any more immoral than that. But if you ask people in Washington, mainstream media reporters or politicians, 100 out of 100 will tell you that Randy Fine is better than Dan Bilzerian. And they are 100% wrong. Not because Bilzerian is a good guy, but because Randy Fine is one of the worst human beings on planet Earth. But since he's up Israel's ass, they're like, oh, well, you want to murder people as long as it's for Israel, right? So, and finally, my embarrassing confession. Okay, so
is that a surprise?
Yeah.
Okay.
So look, Candace told you in that clip that we just showed you, Bassem, that she got her ideas about, wait, maybe we're wrong about Muslims from you. Okay.
No, about the killing, yes,
yeah, and how bad the killing was in Gaza, and it woke her up, and then she started thinking. So now, so it goes from you to Candace, and here's the embarrassing part. So when Candace first said a while back, you know, I've been the victim of Israeli propaganda my whole life, and they got me to hate Muslims.
Yeah.
That was the first time I thought, oh, wait a minute. It was Israeli propaganda. Like I had never thought of it because it's like I grew up here. So when you ask a fish, how's the water? He says, what water, right? So my experience was what Israeli propaganda. You know, part of the reason I despise mainstream media so much is because I believe them. They brainwashed me into believing nonsensical things like Ronald Reagan is a cowboy and he's a guy, you know, running a shining city on a hill, and you know, and
Obama is great.
and Obama is amazing, and he's for real change, right, et cetera, et cetera. And they have been brainwashing us by calling Muslims terrorists when Israel attacked them and took their land over and over and over again in 48 and 67, again during Gaza. And the entire time American media was like, no, the one taking the land, the one doing the genocides, the one doing the attack are the victims. And they're, oh my God, the victims of Israel. I mean, what a bunch of preposterous liars, right? All lying to us in unison to get us not just to support Israel, that would be one thing, but to hate Muslims so that it's easier for Israel to attack them. And you don't feel bad because they just killed terrorists, according to American media. And so when Candace said that, it kind of did a light bulb for me, even though I grew up Muslim American, right? And so don't tell me that Candace hasn't made a difference. And you could say, yeah, I don't believe the First Lady of France has a penis. So what? So what? Okay. Oh, if you agree with Candace on one thing, you have to agree with her on everything. Why? Who made up that rule? Who made up that preposterous rule? No, that rule is made up to divide us. Right? So no, Candace and Tucker and Megyn Kelly now are shockingly, yes, it is shocking, but it's absolutely true. They have been terrific on the issue of war, Israel, and being kind to Muslim Americans. If you want me to reject that kind of help, sorry, but there's no chance I'm gonna do that. It's a very unfair ask. And And honestly, I don't like the problem with puritanical people is because they believe that they are more moral than others, right? They are so moral, they cannot have their morality stained with any kind of association with anyone who's ever said anything wrong, but which by the way is all of us. They've tried to cancel all of us for any transgressions in the past, right? So sorry, but I don't think you're more moral.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.